The Siren's whisper sliced through the azure waves, her sails full of the brisk morning wind. Captain Elias Harrow stood at the helm, his gaze piercing the mist that shrouded the sea ahead. "Keep her steady, Mr. Drake," he called out, the excitement of the unknown adventure ahead sparking in his eyes. Below deck, in the shadows of the cargo hold, Leo Barnett clutched the worn edges of the ancient chart. His heart pounded with the promise of discovery, and he knew that the time to reveal his secret, and himself, was drawing near. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the crew of the Siren's whisper prepared for what lay ahead. Little did they know, the waters they were about to navigate held more than just the secrets of Atlantis. They held the key to their own destinies. Rowan Drake, the ship's first mate, paced the deck, his hands tucked neatly into his pockets. His sharp eyes missed nothing, scanning the horizon for any sign of danger. He glanced at the captain, who seemed lost in thought, and couldn't help but wonder what secrets Elias was hiding beneath that calm exterior. Down in the hold, Leo Barnett crouched beside the ancient chart, his fingers tracing the faded lines that had led him here. The whispered voices from the depths seemed to grow louder, urging him onward, guiding him to the truth. He knew that soon he would have to reveal himself and the map to the others, but for now, he savored the thrill of the chase. Dr. Mira Caldwell, the ship's doctor and an expert in oceanography, paced the deck, her hands clasped behind her back. Her mind raced with the possibilities of what they might find beneath the waves. She couldn't help but feel a mixture of awe and trepidation as they drew closer to the fabled Sunken City. The air was thick with anticipation as the crew cast off the final moorings. The Siren's whisper surged forward, leaving the safety of the harbor behind. Elias Harrow called out to the wind, his voice strong and sure. "Take us to the heart of the southern sea, my loves! For there lies a treasure greater than gold or jewels. There lies the secret of our destinies." As the crew watched their captain, they felt a sense of unity and purpose wash over them. They knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And though they may not all survive the journey, they would go down swinging, their hearts full of the adventure that had brought them here. Rowan Drake couldn't help but wonder what secrets Elias was keeping from them. He had always trusted the captain, but there was something different about him now, a hardness that hadn't been there before. Was it the weight of their quest that had changed him, or was there something more? Leo Barnett stood up, his heart pounding with excitement. He glanced around the ship, trying to find the right moment to reveal himself and the ancient map he'd found. The voices from the depths grew louder, urging him on, promising that the truth was near. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. Dr. Mira Caldwell studied the captain, trying to discern his intentions. She knew that whatever lay ahead, they would all need to work together if they were to survive. And though she had her own secrets, she trusted Elias Harrow to lead them to the truth, no matter where it might take them. Hours passed as the Siren's whisper sailed deeper into the southern sea. The fog began to clear, revealing a world unlike anything they had ever seen before. Towering coral reefs stretched toward the clouds, their vibrant colors a testament to the life that teemed below the surface. And in the distance, a dark shape loomed, a shadow against the horizon. As they drew closer, they realized it was an island, untouched by time and human hands. The sunken city lay before them, its secrets waiting to be unlocked. Rowan Drake tightened his grip on the railing, his knuckles white with anticipation. He glanced over at Leo, who was studying the ancient map intently. The voices from the depths grew louder, a choir of whispers urging them on. Rowan knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Leo Barnett finally mustered the courage to speak. "Captain," he said, his voice shaking slightly, "I think I've found the way." He held out the ancient map, its parchment worn and faded with age. Elias Harrow took it from him, studying it with a critical eye. Dr. Mira Caldwell stood beside them, her heart racing with excitement. "Captain," she said, "this map could hold the key to not only the sunken city, but also the lost civilization that built it. The knowledge we gain from this expedition could change the course of history." Captain Elias Harrow looked out over the water, his eyes distant. "Then let us begin," he said finally. "Mr. Drake, take the helm." Mr. Barnett, you're with me. Doctor, I could use your expertise below deck. With a nod, they dispersed, each preparing for the challenge that lay ahead. As the Siren's whisper sailed closer to the sunken city, Rowan Drake felt a sense of awe and reverence wash over him. He glanced at Leo, who was staring at the island with wide eyes, his hands trembling. Rowan placed a reassuring hand on the young man's shoulder. "You've done well, Mr. Barnett," he said. "Now it's time to see if your map is as accurate as you claim." Dr. Mira Caldwell worked furiously below deck, unlocking the secrets of the ancient technology that lay hidden within the ship. She knew that every discovery they made would bring them one step closer to understanding the true nature of the sunken city and the civilization that had built it. Captain Elias Harrow stood at the prow of the ship, his eyes fixed on the island ahead. He glanced back at Rowan and Leo, nodding approvingly. "We're almost there," he said, his voice steady and confident. "Are you both ready for what comes next?" Leo Barnett swallowed hard, his throat dry with anticipation and fear. I think so, Captain," he managed to say. "I just hope we find what we're looking for." Rowan Drake smiled, a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. "We will, Mr. Barnett. We've come too far to turn back now." With that, they sailed onward, toward the sunken city and the secrets it held. As the ship drew closer, the island seemed to loom larger, its secrets waiting to be unraveled. Rowan and Leo stood side by side, their hands clasped tightly as they gazed at the ancient ruins that poked through the waves. The voices from below grew louder, a choir of whispers urging them on. Captain Harrow surveyed the scene with a seasoned eye, his commanding presence reassuring them that they were in capable hands. Dr. Caldwell emerged from below deck, her face flushed with excitement. "Captain, I've managed to reactivate the ship's navigation system. We should be able to navigate the treacherous waters with ease." The captain nodded in approval, his gaze never leaving the island ahead. The Siren's whisper glided gracefully between two towering pillars, marking their entrance into the sunken city. Rowan and Leo exchanged nervous glances as they sailed deeper into the ancient metropolis, their hearts racing with anticipation and fear. As the ship sailed past grand buildings and statues submerged in the water, they could see signs of life, schools of fish darting in and out of the ruins, and even a lone dolphin playing in the distance. Leo scurried to the map, studying its markings and notations with renewed vigor. "Captain, I think I've found the location of the lost library you mentioned in your journal. It should be just ahead." Captain Harrow nodded, his eyes fixed on the distance. "Very well, Mr. Barnett. Rowan, prepare the diving equipment. We'll need to explore the library firsthand." Rowan hurried to comply, his mind racing with the possibilities that lay before them. As they suited up in the cramped quarters below deck, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and reverence for the ancient civilization that had built this city. With a nod to each other, they descended into the depths, ready to uncover the secrets of the sunken city and its long-lost inhabitants. The library was a sight to behold, its walls adorned with scrolls and books that had been preserved by the water for centuries. As they swam through the dimly lit halls, Dr. Caldwell took samples of the ancient texts, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Leo, meanwhile, felt drawn to a particular section of the library, where maps and atlases were carefully arranged on a shelf. He pulled out an ancient map, its parchment soft and fragile from the passage of time. The map depicted not only the sunken city but also a network of underwater tunnels and caverns that led to other, even more ancient ruins. His heart pounding, he showed it to Captain Harrow, who studied it intently. "This map. It could lead us to the heart of their civilization," the captain murmured. "Are you both ready for what we might find?" Rowan and Leo exchanged glances, their faces pale in the dim light. "Yes, Captain," they replied in unison. "We're ready." With renewed determination, they set off down the tunnel, following the fading light that filtered through the water. As they swam deeper and deeper into the ancient world, they felt as if they were unraveling a mystery that had been hidden for thousands of years. The water grew colder, the air thinner, and the sense of anticipation hung heavy in the air. They knew that whatever they found at the end of this journey would change the course of history forever. The tunnel finally opened up into a cavern, its walls adorned with carvings and paintings that told stories of a long-lost civilization. At the center of the cavern stood a massive stone structure, its surface covered in intricate glyphs and designs. The four explorers gazed in awe at the sight before them, their hearts racing with excitement and trepidation. Captain Harrow was the first to approach the stone structure. He ran his hands along its smooth surface, feeling the weight of history bearing down upon him. "This is it," he murmured. "This is the heart of their civilization. This is where we will find the key to unlocking their secrets." Dr. Caldwell nodded, her eyes fixed on the glyphs carved into the stone. "I believe you're right, Captain. These markings are unlike anything I've ever seen before. If we can decipher them, we may be able to unlock the knowledge of this civilization and change the course of human history." Leo studied the stone structure from a different angle, his mind racing with possibilities. "Captain, do you think we should attempt to move it? Perhaps there is a mechanism hidden beneath or within it that will grant us access to their greatest secrets." Captain Harrow considered the suggestion, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. He glanced at Rowan, who stood silently beside him, his expression a mix of determination and fear. "Very well, Mr. Barnett. Rowan, you and I will attempt to move the stone. Dr. Caldwell and Mr. Carroll will remain here and document our findings." Rowan nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that this was the moment they had all been waiting for. Together, he and Captain Harrow began to push and pull on the massive stone structure, their muscles straining under the weight. With a grunt of effort, they managed to slide it aside, revealing a darkened chamber beyond. Captain Harrow switched on his diving lamp, illuminating the room. Rowan gasped as the light danced off of golden statues and intricately carved pedestals. "This is it," the captain whispered. "This is where we'll find the answers we've been searching for." With trembling hands, they began to explore the chamber, carefully examining each artifact and relic. As they worked, Leo and Dr. Caldwell hovered nearby, documenting their every move, their excitement palpable even through the water. They had found at the heart of the ancient civilization, and with it, the key to unlocking their secrets. Captain Harrow moved closer to a particularly ornate pedestal, his heart racing with anticipation. "This must be it," he murmured, running his fingers over the intricate carvings that adorned its surface. "The device that will finally grant us access to their knowledge." He knelt down, his eyes never leaving the pedestal, and began to examine it more closely. Rowan felt a shiver of fear run down his spine as he watched the captain work. He knew that any mistake could be disastrous, but he also knew that they couldn't afford to hesitate. Carefully, he positioned his diving lamp to illuminate the area around the pedestal, willing his hands to steady as he readied his tools. Dr. Caldwell and Leo exchanged worried glances, their gazes flicking between the captain and the device. They knew that whatever happened next would determine the fate of their mission, and perhaps even the course of human history. With bated breath, they waited for the captain to make his move. Captain Harrow carefully placed a small tool against the pedestal, using it to pry open a hidden compartment. Inside, he found a series of strange, glowing crystals. His heart pounding with excitement, he reached out to touch them, feeling a surge of energy course through his body. The chamber grew brighter, and the air seemed to crackle with energy. As he continued to touch the crystals, they began to hum softly, their light growing brighter and brighter. "Captain," Rowan whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the crystals. "I think we're getting close. I can feel the energy building up." He reached out, hesitantly, and placed his hand against the captain's arm. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern etched into his voice. Captain Harrow looked at Rowan, his expression a mix of awe and disbelief. "Rowan," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I think we're doing it. I think we're actually doing it." He reached out, his fingers intertwining with Rowan's. "Together, I think we can unlock their secrets." The air around them grew charged with energy as the glow of the crystals intensified, bathing the chamber in a brilliant light. Dr. Caldwell and Leo exchanged glances, their eyes wide with wonder and fear. "Captain," Dr. Caldwell said, her voice quavering, "are you sure this is safe?" Captain Harrow smiled at her, his face alight with excitement. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life, Dr. Caldwell. With each crystal I touch, I feel the knowledge of this civilization flowing through me. It's as if they're reaching out to us, guiding us, showing us the way." Rowan could feel the energy coursing through his body, making his heart race and his muscles tense. He could feel the weight of the responsibility they all shared, the knowledge that what they were doing would change the world forever. And yet, he knew that they couldn't stop now. They had to see this through, no matter the cost. Captain Harrow reached out and took hold of the final crystal, his fingers practically glowing with power. With a deep breath, he placed the crystal against his chest, feeling its energy surge through him, connecting him to the device on the pedestal. The world seemed to stop as time itself seemed to warp and bend around them. Images flashed before their eyes, like a film reel running backwards, revealing the secrets of an ancient civilization that had been lost to the sands of time. Rowan felt as if he were floating, weightless and free, his body no longer his own as the knowledge and understanding flowed through him. He could see the faces of the ancient ones, feel their joy and their sorrow, their triumphs and their tragedies. They were no longer just statues in a long-forgotten chamber, but living, breathing beings who had once walked the earth, leaving behind a legacy that would shape the course of history for millennia to come. Captain Harrow's face was transfixed, his expression a mix of awe and humility. "They were so advanced," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the buzzing of energy in the air. "They understood things that we still don't today. They harnessed the power of the universe, and used it for peace and prosperity." He looked around the chamber, his eyes shining with tears. "We have so much to learn from them." Dr. Caldwell, her own face etched with wonder, reached out to touch one of the crystals, feeling its warmth against her skin. "This changes everything," she breathed. "With this knowledge, we can finally begin to understand our place in the universe, and the responsibility that comes with it." Leo, too, was overcome with emotion. He turned to face Rowan, his eyes meeting his. "You did it, Rowan," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You found a way to connect with them, to understand them. You brought hope to all of us." He took Rowan's hand in his own, squeezing it tightly. "Thank you." Rowan could feel the weight of the captain's gratitude, the doctor's awe, and Leo's admiration pressing down on him, but he barely registered it. He was too caught up in the moment, too overwhelmed by the knowledge and understanding that had been bestowed upon them. He looked around the chamber, taking in the ancient symbols, the intricate carvings, and the beautiful, glowing crystals that held the secrets of a long-lost civilization. And he knew, in that moment, that their work had only just begun. There was so much more to learn, so much more to explore. Captain Harrow gathered his thoughts, trying to decide where to begin. He turned to Dr. Caldwell, whose face still glowed with excitement. "Dr. Caldwell, you've spent countless hours studying these crystals. Where do you suggest we start in understanding their capabilities?" She took a deep breath, trying to slow her racing heart. "I think we should begin by examining the device on the pedestal. It seems to be the central focus of this chamber, and the crystals are likely integrated into its design in some way. If we can decipher its purpose and function, we'll have a much better understanding of how to harness their power." Leo nodded in agreement. "And once we've done that, we can begin looking into the other chambers. There must be more of these crystals hidden throughout the complex. Finding them could unlock even greater secrets." Rowan listened, his mind racing with possibilities. He felt a growing sense of purpose, of destiny. He looked around the chamber, taking in the ancient symbols and carvings, and knew that their work was only just beginning. But he also felt a newfound sense of hope, of optimism. They had unlocked the door to a lost civilization, and now they had the key to unlock the secrets of the universe. Captain Harrow placed a reassuring hand on Rowan's shoulder. "You've done well, Rowan. Your connection to them, your ability to understand their language, it's nothing short of remarkable. You've changed the course of history, and I have no doubt that you'll continue to make a profound impact on the world." As they spent the next hours studying the device and discussing their findings, Rowan couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and responsibility. He knew that the choices they made now would shape the future not only of their own world, but of countless others as well. And yet, despite the weight of that knowledge, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement, of wonder. They had been given a glimpse into the past, and now they had the chance to write the future. As night fell, they gathered their things, preparing to leave the chamber. Captain Harrow locked the door behind them, sealing the ancient symbols and carvings back within the protective barrier of rock. The passageway leading to the next chamber loomed before them, its darkness beckoning like a silent invitation. They knew that there were countless more secrets waiting to be discovered, and they were eager to continue their exploration. Dr. Caldwell, her eyes gleaming with excitement, led the way down the dimly lit passage. The air grew colder and more still as they ventured deeper into the heart of the complex. The walls were covered in a fine layer of dust, undisturbed for centuries. Rowan felt a shiver of anticipation run down his spine as they approached the next chamber. Captain Harrow, his hand resting on the ancient mechanism that would grant them access, hesitated for a moment. "Are you sure you're ready for this, Rowan?" he asked, his voice low. "The next chamber is said to contain the most powerful of the crystals. Their power could be overwhelming for someone who's not prepared." Rowan nodded confidently. "I'm ready, Captain," he said, his voice steady. "I've felt a connection to them since the beginning, and I trust that they'll guide me." Leo, too, placed a reassuring hand on Rowan's shoulder. "We believe in you, Rowan," he said with a smile. "And we're here to help you every step of the way." Captain Harrow smiled back, his eyes filled with pride. He nodded to Dr. Caldwell, who began to turn the ancient mechanism. With a click, the doors to the next chamber slowly swung open, revealing a chamber unlike any they had seen before. The walls were covered in a glittering latticework of crystals, each one glowing with an eerie blue light. The air hummed with energy, and Rowan could feel the power emanating from the crystals, washing over him like a wave. "This is it," Dr. Caldwell whispered, her voice hushed with awe. "This is where we'll find the key to unlock their full potential." The chamber was unlike anything they'd ever seen. The crystals glowed with a strange, otherworldly light, and the air seemed to hum with energy. Rowan felt a sense of connection to the crystals, as if they were part of him, and he was part of them. Captain Harrow nodded solemnly. "Rowan, you must be prepared for what we might find here. The power these crystals wield is immense, and it could change the course of history. There will be those who wish to use that power for their own selfish gain, and it will be up to you to ensure that it is used responsibly." Rowan straightened his back, feeling the weight of Captain Harrow's words. "I understand," he said, his voice steady. "I won't let you down." As they stepped deeper into the chamber, the crystals seemed to come alive around them. They shimmered and shifted, reflecting the blue light off of each other in a dazzling display. Leo moved closer to inspect one of the larger crystals, running his fingers along its surface. "These are unlike anything we've seen before," he murmured. "They're not just glowing, they're alive." Rowan nodded, his eyes fixed on the crystals. He reached out a hand, tentatively touching one of the smaller ones. As his fingers made contact, he felt a surge of energy coursing through him. The crystal pulsed with life, its light growing brighter as it seemed to respond to his touch. He couldn't help but marvel at the sense of connection he felt with these ancient artifacts. Dr. Caldwell moved around the chamber, carefully studying the layout of the crystals. "It seems that they're arranged in some sort of pattern," she said, her voice thoughtful. "Like a map, perhaps. Or a code." She gestured toward a section of the chamber where several of the largest crystals formed a distinct shape. "What do you think that means?" she asked, looking at Rowan. Rowan studied the arrangement of crystals carefully, his mind racing with possibilities. "It could be a map, yes," he said thoughtfully. "Or perhaps a key. The crystals are ancient, and they've been passed down through the ages, guarded by those who understood their power. Maybe this pattern is the key to unlocking that power." Captain Harrow nodded in agreement. "It's possible," he said. "But we must proceed with caution. Once we unlock this power, there will be no going back. We must ensure that we are ready for what lies ahead." Leo moved closer to one of the larger crystals, examining it closely. What do you think would happen if we were to touch one of these? He asked, his voice tinged with curiosity and apprehension. Would we feel any different? Rowan thought for a moment before reaching out to touch another of the crystals. As his fingers made contact, he felt a surge of energy course through him, stronger than before. The crystal glowed brighter, casting an ethereal light over the chamber. It's as if they're responding to us, he said, his voice full of wonder. As if they're communicating with us on some level. Dr. Caldwell smiled at Rowan's observation. Of course they are, she said. They've been created by the same minds that guided us, after all. They're a part of us, and we are a part of them. It's no surprise that there's a connection between us. She gestured for them to follow her deeper into the chamber. Come, let's see what else we can find. As they moved deeper into the chamber, Rowan couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The crystals seemed to shift and dance in the eerie blue light, as if they were alive and aware of their presence. He knew that whatever lay ahead, he would need to trust his instincts and rely on his connection to the crystals if they were to succeed. Captain Harrow placed a reassuring hand on Rowan's shoulder. You're doing a wonderful job, Rowan, he said. You're exactly where you need to be. Rowan nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. Despite the eerie atmosphere, he couldn't help but feel a sense of purpose and belonging. He knew that their journey was far from over, and that there would be challenges ahead. But for now, he was content to explore the mysteries of the crystal chamber with his trusted friends. As they continued deeper into the chamber, Dr. Caldwell paused before a particularly large crystal. Its iridescent surface shifted and danced in the blue light, seeming to reflect every color of the spectrum. This one feels different, she murmured. As if it holds the key to everything. She reached out a trembling hand, hesitating before making contact. Are you ready? Rowan nodded, his heart racing. He knew that whatever happened next would change everything. We're ready, he said, his voice steady despite his mounting anticipation. Let's do this. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please visit my channel for more stories.